Okay, so let's get into some of the detail then that was announced last week in the budget, starting with personal tax, more specifically capital gains.
Yeah, so everyone was expecting capital gains tax to go up, and that's one of the reasons why lots of people were buying, selling stuff in the run up to the budget. Um, Possibly not as bad as some people were fearing or predicting. So prior to the budget, capital gains tax was 10% for basic rate taxpayers and 20% for higher rate taxpayers
Mm-hmm.
on everything other than residential property, which was 18 and 24%. So the changes she brought in was to basically bring all capital gains tax in line with the capital gains tax that's payable on residential property. So the 10% has gone up to 18% and the 20% has gone up to 24%, with the big curveball being that it was brought into effect from that day rather than waiting until the start of the next tax year.
Yeah.
So I guess people that were buying and selling businesses for more than £1 million, for reasons that we'll come on to shortly, probably did the right thing by selling before the budget.
Yeah, so anyone that was thinking, I'll hold on and wait and see what they announced, it was too late.
Yeah. So I suppose the one bit of good news from a capital gains tax perspective is that she didn't scrap business asset disposal relief, otherwise known as entrepreneurs relief. It's been £1 million for a few years now.
Yeah.
Originally, under the previous Labour government, it was 10 million. And there have been fears that that £1 million allowance was going to be scrapped for the last few budgets now. So the £1 million stays. However, whereas currently people that qualify for business asset disposal relief only pay capital gains tax at 10%, that's going up to 14% in 25-26 and 18% in 26-27. So there's probably going to be another little rush of people trying to retire or sell their businesses between now and the 5th of April, because 4% or an 8% increase is quite significant, particularly if the amount if you're selling your business for perhaps a little bit more than a million. If you're selling it for 20, 30 million, it doesn't make that much difference really. But if you're talking about 1.5 or 2 million, then it does make a significant difference. So I suppose mixed news in respect of the entrepreneurs relief announcements.
So with the business asset disposal relief, they have got a little bit more time to plan.
Yeah, and bear in mind that that is £1 million per shareholder. So if there's multiple people involved, then it's more than a million. And if it's husband and wife, then there are circumstances where the family can claim 2 million. But you've got to check the small print, talk to your accountant, etc.
So there'll be a few lawyers busy again in the run up to the 5th of April.
Yes, there will. Next, from a personal tax perspective, they announced that stamp duty on second homes was going up from 3% to 5% as of that day. So
another immediate change.
Yeah. So again, anyone who was buying second homes, investment properties, etc., and speeding up that process in case anything changed in the budget, possibly did the right thing.
Do you think that will have an impact on people putting properties via a limited company as opposed to individuals?
Well, a stamp duty increase also applies to limited companies. So you've got to look at things other than stamp duty.
But that's where speaking to an accountant and working out those calculations can be a good idea for business owners.
Correct. Next thing we had on our list was the personal allowances. So the Conservative government had announced that they were freezing personal allowances for at least the next 2 years.
Yep.
And your mate Rachel
Yep.
said she will be unfreezing them after that period. And she sort of celebrated that as an amazing piece of good news. But it's not really, is it? Because inflation and wage growth, etc., has been pretty high the last few years. So more and more people are getting into the position where they have to pay tax for the first time, and more people on the back of pay rises, national minimum wage increases, etc., a larger proportion of their wages are subject to tax thanks to the personal allowances being frozen. So it's a really good way of increasing taxes without actually
Going out
increasing
and saying
taxes. I thought that was a little bit naughty, but yeah. So no changes to personal allowances for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Another big announcement from a personal tax perspective was that from April 27, they're bringing inherited pensions into the estates for inheritance tax purposes.
Yeah.
So historically they've been tax free, but they won't be tax free from April 27. So that's going to presumably create a load of work for financial advisors, etc., looking at planning issues, ways around it, etc. So that's going to create a lot of work for a lot of people in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple of things that she didn't announce that are going to have quite a big impact on a lot of people. First one being double cab pickups.
Yes.
So they're the big vehicles that look like trucks. They've got sort of the storage things on the back,
Yeah.
but the double cabs, so they've got like 2 rows of seats.
Yeah.
So the sort of cars, but the sort of commercial vehicles.
Yeah.
But many of them have been treated as commercial vehicles for the last few years, which means really low benefit in kind for the driver of those vehicles, and also favourable capital allowance treatments. So she's announced that as of April next year, these vans are going to be treated as cars, which means higher benefit in kind for the drivers and also less favourable capital allowance treatment.
Yeah.
So you had been able to write off the full cost of those assets if they were brand new in the year of the acquisition, whereas now it drops to the same rate as cars, which is 18% a year. And it takes forever for you to get the full tax relief on the vehicles. So you might see less double cab pickups on the roads from April.
Yeah.
And then the last thing was making tax digital.
Yeah. So the announcement a while ago, when it was originally being brought in, changed so that it was income up to £50,000. So if your income for self-employed or rental properties was above 50k, you would fall into the MTD threshold, and that was going to be lowered then over the following years to capture more people. That's now been lowered back down to 20k. So
by the end of the Parliament.
Yes. So the number of people that are going to fall within making tax digital for individuals is going to increase.
It'll be most people, won't it, by the end of the Parliament?
Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of individuals needing to look at getting softwares in place and getting ready for the tax years as they're coming. Getting the tax returns done a lot earlier so that they've got opening positions ready to start.
And then filing quarterly profit and loss accounts with HMRC.
Yes, that's going to be a
big change.
Big change. A big increase in the administrative side of things for those individuals.
Yeah. So if anyone watching this has any questions on capital gains tax, buying, selling companies, entrepreneurs relief, business asset disposal relief, tax planning, inheritance tax, or making tax digital, please get in touch with us at help@360accountants.co.uk. Give us a ring on 01482 427 360 or DM us on one of our social media channels.